So let's do numbers 14, 15, and 16 together. And here with number 14, you want to be 98% confident of your estimate of the AISD students that live in households of 2 parents. And then here's your margin of error. So your question again, and we've seen this before, is how many students? So what is that sample size? All right, couple things. So we're solving for n. Our critical value, or our z star, is inverse norm of 0.01. The reason is because you have 98% in the middle. That puts 1% in each tail. So to find this critical location, you inverse norm of 0.01. That gives you this critical value of 2.33. We don't have an estimate to start with, so we are putting in 0.5. We don't have any previous information. We don't have even a sample to go on, so we're going to use 0.5. Then we do our algebra to solve for n. We come up with 1508.03. That rounds up to 1509 students. All right, now 15 is all about the anatomy of an interval. Your confidence interval is going from this lower bound of 0.532 to this upper bound of 0.628. And the question is, what is the margin of error? Margin of error is the distance halfway from the middle, which was your p hat, up to the upper bound. And also it's symmetrical, so it's also the same as down to that lower bound. So you can do this a couple ways. You can do the upper bound minus, take the upper bound, subtract the lower bound, and then divide by 2. Because what that does is getting you this entire distance, but then we just want this upper half, or 1/2 of it, so we divide by 2. That gives you a margin error of 0.048. You could do a couple other things there, where you, I think if you add them and divide by 2, that'll get you here in the middle, and then you can do subtraction there. So that's a little bit more work, but that's probably your best bet to do what I have just done there. All right, number 16. When completing a test of significance, what does p-value mean? So this is asking you straight up, what is the definition of a p-value? And people, this is the most misunderstood definition I teach. P-value is not the probability the null is true. It's why I started making songs. P-value is the Brown-Eyed Girl song. And so, do you remember when we used to sing, the p-value is the probability of getting this sample or something more extreme if the null is true. Okay, so p-value is the probability of getting this sample or something more extreme if the null is true.